For me, I would have hoped that the president stayed away from that conversation.
Why?
Because, look, why did we go to IMF? IMF didn't come to us. We went to IMF. Why did we go to IMF? We need physical space. Government needs to basically breathe. The economy is choked. So the IMF now tells you, IMF does two things. They help you with some finances over a period, but they are not Father Christmas. They lend you the money, and they have to find a way that the money they are giving you to sustain you during your difficult times, IMF will be able to get it back. So IMF is saying that because you are choked, before I can give you my money, whether 3 billion over a period, how do I get my money back? So you need to also find physical space, what my brother is calling debt restructuring. So you need to look at your housekeeping. What do you put where? Okay? So one of the options, as my brother again mentioned that we did that in 2017, we did some restructuring which gave government physical space. So breathing space for you to restructure your debt, make some longer tenure so you can have space to do other things. So one of the things on the table is this restructuring of what people are calling haircuts. I've taken so much money from the local market. We have been taking about 1.3 billion a week since January. Every week we take about 1.3 billion. And by maturity, you might not be able to pay it off. So one of the things on the table that you are discussing or you need to present is to look at that option to say that, can I restructure, make some of the shorter bond longer tenure to give me space to breathe, to give me space to do other things. But if the president now come and make this statement that there will be no haircut or discounting, then it takes that option off the team of the negotiating team. So if they go
because it's one of the options when you have to,
it
may be the lowest in terms of consideration. It doesn't matter what it is,
but it's one of the options. It depends on the numbers, and maybe the economic management team have done the numbers, and they feel that they might not want that option, and they will go for other options. But what that will now make is that if government cannot touch that, then they have to touch other things. So when we now have the IMF document, we will now know what we are touching. We now keep hearing this thing, and it keeps coming. And my brother repeated it. Principle, principle, principle. Look, if you leave the person's principle and renegotiate his interest, you're still giving him a haircut. If you elongate his tenure and do not give him the interest over that same tenure, you've given him a haircut.
Which is happening currently.
Well, I'm just telling you what the situation is. I sit on a board of a lot of investment banks. So the point is this. If you are looking at options of getting yourself to breathe, and the president comes and makes this emphatic statement, it really ties the hand of the negotiators around their back, because it takes some of their options available to them off the table. So for me, my thought would have been that in the president's statement, he would have basically stayed out of that statement and let the negotiators negotiate, and then let's see what the final statement will have been from the IMF. But as it is now, it means that one of the things that government can look at, maybe, as we keep hearing the principle, we are going to assure them the principle, but if I offered you 30% interest, then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to now try to renegotiate that 30% interest and say, look, my brother, I offered you 30% when I bought this bond. Let me now, the interest I'm supposed to pay you on maturity, let me now split that over a period for you to pay. So naturally, what that person would have taken his money for today, you are telling him that instead of the 30% that I'm giving to you, I'll give that 30% to you over a period of, let's say, 4 or 5 months. If you restructure that, and the cedi is not stable, right, and the cedi keeps depreciating, then that money that you are giving the person, when you're not giving a bullet payment, but structuring that period over a time, doesn't come back to him at the same nominal value. So that is where people are worried.
Look,